Hello, my name is Mary J. Harris McWilliams. I am the second oldest child of Willie J. Harris, better known as Bud Harris. I have been wanting to share this story with family and friends for some time now. This information is what my father shared with his family many times. He told his story with sincerity and accuracy. His personal feelings wasn't so much about patriotism, but more about survival. His story makes me proud of the men of Montford Point who, despite many obstacles, gallantly completed their training and went on to fight for this country.
The story of Montford Point Marines fighting two wars.
Willie James Bud Harris was born February the 25th, 1925. When this picture was taken, Bud was 18 or 19. This picture was taken just prior to him entering the U.S. military in 1944. My father said he did not volunteer for the armed services, nor was he officially drafted. My father grew up in the small rural town of Tennille, Georgia, sometimes pronounced Tennella. Tennille was a typical small southern Georgia town that openly displayed discrimination and systematic racism toward blacks. These pictures are typical sharecropper dwelling or shacks that the landlord provided for the tenants working his fields. Like most black families during this time, Bud's family were sharecroppers. Life was difficult for black families, especially in the rural South. My father often told us that at the end of the crop season, it was not unusual for the white landowner to tell the workers, "Y'all almost made a profit this year," meaning they would not get paid any cash money for their hard labor. It was not unusual for the landowner to say, "Y'all came out in the red and you owe me money." My father strongly disagreed with the systematic discrimination of sharecropping. Bud shared that he didn't see ever being able to get ahead by sharecropping. Bud was strong in his belief. Therefore, he put very little effort in working in the fields. This caused the landowner to become extremely angry with my father. The overseer told Bud's father, "That boy of yours is lazy, but I know who can make this nigger work." Bud had no idea what the overseer meant. He was soon to find out. A few days later, the overseer came and picked up Bud and his father. He drove them to the recruiting office in Wrightsville, Georgia. Once in the recruiter's office, the overseer told the recruiter, "I'm going to sign this lazy nigger into the service. He's too lazy to work the fields, so they'll either make him work or maybe he'll get killed." My father said he was horrified and bewildered. Bud said his father stood by, having no control or no say in the matter. This was the early 1940s in the deep racist South. Jim Crow was alive and well. My father and other black recruits were not taken to Paris Island, where the white recruits were trained. Instead, they were bused to a camp named Montford Point in Jacksonville, North Carolina, which was another small racist southern town. Not only were the conditions of the camp substandard, the men also faced verbal and physical abuse from the white training instructors. The white training instructors constantly reminded the black men of their hate and disgust of having to train a bunch of niggers. Montford Point was far from ideal. It was a piece of harsh wooded land selected for black recruits to train. My father often told stories of coming into contact with wild animals, bears, huge snakes, and alligators. The heat and mosquitoes were almost unbearable, he said. Both the white and black trainers, drill instructors, were extremely harsh on the black recruits. Bud said he knew the white trainers thought that black men weren't good enough or fit enough to fight in Uncle Sam's military. This made the black recruits train even harder to prove to their white counterparts that they were just as capable of training and fighting. The black recruits did an outstanding job completing all their training. They took pride in each accomplishment. After successfully completing boot camp, Bud was deployed overseas to Saipan. To get there, they were transported in large troop ships. On June the 15th, 1944, my father found himself on the battlefield of Saipan. This was the first time black Marines were mixed with white Marines as a combat unit. On the battlefield, black Marines still had to contend with racism from fellow white Marines. Bud said blacks in his unit were often given the task of transporting supplies, digging foxholes, carrying the wounded, and burying the dead. He often spoke about bullets firing all around. There was the constant fear of being shot, the smell of gunpowder, and death. The fear of death, staying alive, and tolerating racist white Marines were a constant battle. I often heard my father say, "I didn't have any reason to hate the Japanese. None of them ever called me a nigger or spit on me." The Montford Point Marines persevered and fought courageously in Saipan and Iwo Jima, eventually earning the respect of white soldiers. My father shared that his mission had very little to do with earning respect. His mission was to survive and return home. Once Bud was out of the military, he did get a chance to confront the overseer who put him into the military. Bud told him, "What you meant as a punishment or lesson for me ended up being something positive for me. I had an opportunity to travel to new countries, earn more money than I would have made sharecropping, and further my education, to see a world far beyond Tennille, Georgia."